overgrown. Be careful, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
mind your step today as well, because I'm most likely not insured for anything that goes on. It's just basically an overgrown home brewery, but it has all the bits that our big brewery does. I didn't explain to everybody. Rudy and I actually brew at another brewery for all the beers that you're tasting here. We have kind of basically squatting at another brewery. We actually brew their beer for them now as well. Luxter's, you may have toured the place up in Hambledon. It's a vineyard as well. The guy that owns that's a wine guy. They know nothing about beer. So Rudy and I kind of sort out the beer side. Spends 2 weeks up there, and then we tow it in this tank, literally behind a Land Rover, and it comes down here. And maybe give you a walk around later, but we've got basically a cold room full of tanks where we either bottle or keg the beer. So that's kind of the situation. But when I started the company, I wasn't sure whether or not I knew what the hell I was doing, whether I could take my home brew to the next level. I was doing 20 liters at home, so my wife let me buy this 100-liter brewery. And I was soon flogging it, like brewing that 3 times a day just to service a couple customers. And learned a lot, made a lot of stupid mistakes, dumped a lot of beer down the drain. Thankfully, only 100 liters at a time. So, but it's got all the bits that a big brewery has. So we're going to start here in the mash tun, right? Everything starts in the mash, and this is where we're going to take. You guys tasted some of the malted barley, malted wheat. Today's mash, as I said, is very, very simple. We're just going to use. Is that Marisada or lager malt?
No.
We were going to go with Marisada, but that's fine. Maybe next batch. Is the recipe wrong? Damn it! That's my fault. Doesn't matter. We're just gonna. It means the lager malt's just gonna be a little bit lighter in color. That's not a big deal. So pretty much 100%. What is it? 85% lager malt. A little bit of acidulated malt. Did you guys try that acid malt? Right. Same sort of sourness as that sour beer. That's gonna help adjust the water pH. Because we're doing a pale beer, the pH is very important. We have very hard water here. I don't know if you know that. What we call temporary hardness. And unless you know what you're doing, it's very difficult to brew a pale beer or a golden beer. If you want to brew a stout or a porter, you don't have to know anything about water chemistry because you have that burnt black malt is acidic, and that helps bring the pH. The pH is very important. But to do a pale beer, we use a German trick of this acid malt that buffers it, gets our pH in the right zone for these grains. And then we decided we're going to, because we don't have any of those crystal malts, or any of them other malts that you tried, the real sugary ones, to give the beer body, you know, and a bit of mouthfeel, we are choosing oats instead. So I literally just went to Waitrose, and these are Scottish rolled oats. I think we're doing 10% or 12%, something like that. And those will give should give a real nice silky texture to the beer. And so for a pale golden beer, it should still taste of something, hopefully to back up the hops that we've got. Right? 'Cause it's all about balance. We're going to kind of, I don't know if you know how hops are used, but if you want the bitterness from hops, because it's that oil that you're feeling on your fingers, you would need to boil them, right? And that's so if we want to get the bitterness, we want to boil. But we're really not interested too much about bitterness today. We really kind of want the flavor, the essence of these hops. So we're going to use them very minimally for the bitterness and go for flavor and aroma. So we're going to actually start. This is something that nobody really does. We're going to put hops in the mash first, all right? Which, again, it's an old school technique that people have forgotten about. So you actually should get those in so we can get them soaking before.
Those are today's, are they?
Those are today. So these actually came from Anna and Glenn, who have been growing them at their house for the last couple of years off of cuttings from these plants. So I think we're going to start with a kilo in there. If you don't add them at first, if you add them last, they just float. We've found in the brewery. We don't have the. You able to get in there? Sorry, we should have moved that. Not a clever setup for brewing here. And all we're going to do, so we've filled this with water. The temperature is very important. So we know that if we get our water up to 74 and then we add these ingredients, we're going to come in about 67, 68 degrees. And that's just where we want to be. What happens is the natural enzymes in the malt wake up and they start chopping up all these long chain carbohydrates and making sugar, different types